Only God Forgives is going to be probably one of my most interesting films that I've seen this year, and also kind of one of my sort of conflicting films of this year. I will say this right off the bat. Nicolas Winding Refn, I think that's his name, and Ryan Gosling come back. You know, this team duo that gave you the amazing, the awesome Drive, and probably one of the big cult sort of films of the 20th century. You know, they come back to you for this film in a very different take. Like, Drive to Only God Forgives, Only for God Forgives is kind of like that distant cousin that you know is that lives there, and you know what stuff he gets up to and you don't like, and you can't understand why you might actually like this film or not like this film. But for me, it's one of those sort of conflicting films, and it's definitely one to talk about. Before I start with any other sort of thing I want to say, I want to add one really great, amazing thing that I want to sort of point out that really should be pointed out. This is not really about the film itself, it's about the film's length. It's 90 minutes long, yeah, an hour and a half, right? Most films these days are like an hour and 40, which I can like give, but most films are like 2 hours to 2.5 hours, and sometimes these aren't like, you know, starter films or franchise films, and you know, that to me just feels it's just too long. I hate the way how, you know, films have to be at that, films have to be at this length for no apparent reason whatsoever. So I love the fact that they made this film as short as possible with adding the content that they needed to add for this film, because I feel that any other content you try to remove, you know, it will feel out of place, and it needs it in this film. However, let's get to the rest, and yeah, there's quite a bit to talk about. First off is you really need to pay close attention to this film. This is not a film that you could just kind of switch off to. It's like you have to be like brain sort of intact to watch, because this isn't a film for everyone. It's not the action film you're thinking of. It's not the fighting film that you're thinking of, or it's not the successor to Drive that you're thinking of. This film is completely, utterly different. And whether this was intentional or not, I don't know. But here's the thing I'll say. Ryan Gosling is good in the film, but he's not great. And most of the time when Ryan Gosling's in a film, he is normally good or great. But he's not really good in this film. He doesn't really kind of step out. He's kind of like, he's there. Like, we think that this guy's the main character, and he is the main character, but you just feel that all these other characters are just a little bit more interesting than this guy. And I don't know, I just kind of felt he kind of felt a bit out of place, or like he wasn't really given much to kind of do throughout the whole film, and that's probably why I didn't feel his performance was really all that great. The guy, I think it's Chang, like his character's name, he was good in the film. I loved this guy in the film. His presence was really good. The only thing I really didn't like is the karaoke scenes that he does, because it's, I don't know why karaoke. Like I did say earlier that there are scenes you can't really take out, but maybe I would take out the karaoke scenes because they were a bit distracting, a bit annoying. I don't understand why they were there. If they were just like a sort of maybe background kind of thing, yeah, I would say it's okay. But yeah, but Kristin Scott Thomas, she was good. Like, she was really good in this film, and I haven't seen most of her like works or whatnot, but she played quite the interesting character. And this is where I'm going to really say that this film is very interesting, because there are some films where it's shot, where the music is kind of different. Sometimes the music kind of was a hit and miss for me, like some scenes it was good, some scenes just weren't. The film's rated in 18, but I don't really see where most of the gore is. There were a couple of cringe-worthy scenes that I really didn't like, and some scenes that just kind of like came out of nowhere, but other than that, I mean, here's the thing, there's no nudity that I saw. There's not any sort of big sort of use of, you know, language. The violence is there, but it's not that much. So if this film's rated in 18, I don't understand why. 15 I think would have been a little bit more acceptable, in my opinion. But I've got to say, I think this is the director's weakest film that he's directed. And I don't think a lot of people are going to like this as much. I mean, here's the thing, you probably need to watch it several times to really maybe understand the film a little bit more, or like appreciate it, because you have to listen to all the dialogue and all that sort of stuff, and probably pay close attention to scenes as well, because it does have a sort of, it's one of those that you have to think and really pay attention kind of films, and sometimes they work really well with certain, you know, film goers, but most film girls don't really, they don't really like that. They like to see things move around, you know, like flashy things, fireworks, guns, explosions, you know, make out scenes and twerkly vampires. But other than that, also like maybe chihuahua dogs and something like that. But yeah, it's really kind of not meant for everyone. But because of this though, when it comes to movie rating, I'm a bit lost in this one. On one hand, I will say, because it's not made for everyone, but it deserves a watch, you need to rent it. And by that, you save yourself maybe a bit of money. You know, you can watch it as many times as you want to maybe understand it, and it's worth the rental value for it. But I also say you do have to kind of see it in order to see whether or not you actually like it or not. Because I know some people aren't going to like it, and some people might love it. But it's kind of, it falls into those two categories. So I think it's a rent it, watch it type of film. And that's kind of all I've got to say about it. What do you guys think? Like, have you seen it? Like, have you been wanting to see it? Do you think the film's good? Do you think it's bad? Or do you think I'm talking a load of nonsense? Feel free to, you know, comment, and if you feel even more likely, like, dislike and all that shenanigans, and I'll see you guys later.